Hi, blessings, everyone. Ooh, look at the light here. Just over here. Wow, that's beautiful. Makes me happy because I've been feeling that I'm not getting enough light. But it's still there. So I'm just checking this before I start. Yeah, today I wanted to speak about being a spiritual midwife. Before I start, I'm just going to take a minute or two just to really tune in. So if you're listening, you can also just tuning into the heart and also we're really just tuning into the flow of life and harmonizing and just asking for this message to be delivered for the highest good of all. And that the video and the message harmonize. Nearly fell asleep there. Anyway, yeah, I've been awake since about 3:30 this morning. It's about 5 o'clock here in Edinburgh in the evening, and it's been a really weird. I can't put it into words. You may be able to understand or resonate with this. There's something happening with our dream state in everyday life where we're actually living through our dream state. There's a sense of just you're in that place just before you fall asleep, but you're actually living it out each day in this space of I'm not quite awake, I'm not quite asleep. That one. And that's the kind of day I've had today, particularly. I experience it a lot for periods, maybe for a few hours. But today it's been all day today. All day I've been just kind of in the zone. Anyway, I wanted to speak about, being a spiritual midwife. The term spiritual midwife, I had never heard of it before until I published my first book, Healing from the Heart. And it was mentioned to me by a friend of the publisher who said to me that the book and the message was going to help so many people, and that I was really a spiritual midwife. And I had never heard this term. I thought it was kind of describes it really well. It's really beautiful. The birthing process that we're going through, rebirthing, being the midwife, as in the spiritual midwife who's on the bridge, and also being connected in with the soul and at soul level. Translating energy. I do believe that there are many spiritual midwives out there, although they might not know that there's, or even wouldn't know what that term is either. But it's really, the bridge, I feel. How can I describe it more fully? Yeah, there's a role that we play when we're in this role of midwifing the spirit, which is connected with the this bridge between worlds, where we step into. There's a space there that's given, and stepping into that space and being able to translate the energy. Also, there's a place of knowing there as well. I feel that, and I've certainly been shown that there are women out there who are doing lots of spiritual midwifing with the male and with their partners, with their with the father. I feel it's something that many women can relate to, where they've stepped in at a time when there's maybe been a crisis situation, or there's been that gap there that was needed to be filled, to allow the person to heal. Yes, but more than that, to really transform in terms of bringing in the light and also clarity into their energy where they couldn't find it for themselves. Maybe somebody who's sick, for example. I experienced a very profound experience. It changed my life with both my parents when they were passing. It really started with my mother and her her journey out of the physical, where I was experiencing a lot of change in my energy for a year or so before she passed. But then I was very aware, and I really felt it was a gift that she had passed over, because it was necessary for her to move on. She'd been holding on to her physical life for a long, long time. I was there with her when she fully passed, although she's actually gone by that point. But there's a sense of connection there that we have with family, and particularly our parents. It changes our lives when we lose our parents. We really find our spirit in a way that is much more real. We're able to really recognize ourselves from a very different space inside us. It's a process, of course. And when my father passed, which was, it was about 9 years later, it was very similar in a way, but deeper, where I was actually because at that point I had been attuned to the healing energies. I'd been through my spiritual awakening, which was, about 2 years in advance of his passing, 18 months before he passed. There was a connection there. I'm explaining this for a reason. By the way, I hope I'm not boring you with this. It's really interesting because there's a passageway of time that we experience when we're moving into a space of connection with our parents as they pass. And I was really able to assist my father through his process weeks before he left. And I was being guided and shown exactly what was happening. It was really powerful. And also feeling him very much with me and inside me, as being very much at one with him before he passed over. So in many ways, it was a beautiful experience for both of us. I was able to assist him out of the body through really taking over and speaking for him, and also really showing my power to all the medics and the people around him that were in charge. And it was very difficult to watch because he was a very powerful man, and he was a great guy. He was a big guy, and it was a period of change for me. I found a new strength coming in. It was difficult, also, of course, because I'm still human, but I was really connecting in with the healing energies and with spirit. And it was at that point that I became a spiritual midwife, I feel, or that I was able to recognize it within myself, where I really asked for him, giving permission for him to leave to everyone that was around him, and really entering into the light there and guiding him as he was leaving the body. So it was very beautiful, the experience. There was a change in my life from that point on, which and where I recognized that there was a role there. And I've heard this from other women who have been very much a healing tool for the father as they've been moving out of their lives. And I feel it's probably quite common, whether it's recognized or the woman's conscious of it or not, I'm not sure. But it brought lots of clarity into my life about spirituality and about the spirit. The recognition that spirit is I don't know how to put this actually. The spirit, I'm trying to find the words, the fluidity here. The spirit in life is inside us. What I had been shown in this culture that I'm living in, which I feel no connection with, I have to say, and never have. This is really interesting. I don't feel any connection with the UK and with this part of the world. But there was a very profound shift in my consciousness after my father passed, where I realised really clearly, and I was being shown that he was part of me, that he's not separate, of course, and that we are all one. And it's also something that gets shown to me in my healing sessions with regards to the oneness that we all share, and where there is no separation, that spirit is everlasting, and that my soul connection with my father was very, very strong throughout my lifetime, and his, for the time that he was introduced to me, he was like a guide for me. He was someone who was always there with me, and we had a very strong, loving connection there that was unspoken, and that brought lots of sadness for me, and it's something that I have learned what that is for myself. Our sacred connection also with the people that we love, and this powerful union that we have with Source, being the guiding light there. And as a spiritual midwife, I'm able to really fully connect in with this bridge of consciousness and assist with the beauty of oneness and the life force there, where we are uniting. I've seen some astonishing things as a healer. I've always been a very visual person, and I have not had the opportunity to express it or use it until I was actually practicing with others and really being able to read into that energy. I call it an art form. Healing is a tool that is plugged into creation as far as my own experience. So I'm able to really read the person. It depends on the person as well. If an individual comes to me who doesn't want to be read, it's not really something that I would continue with. There has to be a meeting, and I can usually tell immediately when we meet, because the person has a connection with me. And lots of people that I've worked with have had an instant connection where they feel this real pull to come and meet me and work with me. And I would say that is usually pretty accurate. If there's any sense of them not being ready for it and for the process that they're about to enter into, then we can initially we can discuss it. And if they're not ready, that's absolutely fine. But there will be a purpose in us meeting in the first place, and sometimes that's all they need, because they will then go on to, they might meet another healer, or maybe they go and do some work with someone, and through connecting with me, it's given them that bridge for them to be able to do that. So it really comes in many forms, this role of being a spiritual midwife. Working with women is astonishing because I can really fully connecting with the womb there. And it's usually a space for me to really enter into my sisterhood with them. And I can read what's happening within the body, or allow them to find that space within themselves. And it's very non-invasive, and it is sacred work. And I need sacred space to do this in, of course. And the space actually takes care of everything, because space is very important to me. And the space that I work from and that I live in is a space that welcomes in people to, and individuals who want to come and be in this space, because it's a space that actually holds the energy for the person. Very often there's not much for me to do, but just give them the space and allow them to be in the energy there, and I'll allow that to happen. Other times I'll translate the energy and tell the person that I'm working with what I have experienced and my insights. It's terribly sensitive work, as you can hear. And that's why my dialogue and my communication is very sensitive. The way that I really tune in and watch life, and even the videos that I'm making here. It's so important to recognize that there is something far greater than ourselves. Working is not work, actually. I was going to say working as this healer, spiritual midwife, whatever you want to call it, the medium there. I'm working with light energy. I'm not working with external spirit energies. I'm working with the person and their wholeness. And I see the holiness in people everywhere I go. The area that I'm living in at the present time, there's lots of different cultures here. And there is a sense of spirit within the tribal cultures particularly, and I've worked with lots of people from tribal cultures where they recognize me and they know that I'm there as a healer, as I may have been in their tribe. So I really tune in and work with them from that instant connection that we have. I'm able to just be and be the bridge for everyone that comes to share with me. It's very special, and it's extremely touching work to do. I've said the word work again. I don't really want to use that word because it's not work. It's more of, it's just a really deep connection that I have. And in many ways, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just creating the space and allowing the space and myself to open to provide what the person needs. So that's what I would explain as a spiritual midwife. And there are many spiritual midwives in the world, I feel. And I feel that lots of women are in that role of being the midwife of spirit, and lots of capacities for their families, their children, for their communities. And it's a beautiful term. And my website is www.spiritmidwifery.weebly.com. And I took on the role in the name of the spiritual midwife after the book was published, Healing from the Heart. So I hope that gives you some insights into my work, and also my work. I've said it again. Anyway, and what I offer and provide, and also really empowering women to acknowledge their own spirit and their own connection with the womb, the heart, and their own role as a spiritual midwife that's deep inside them. So I can assist through many different forms, and it's sacred. Sacred. It's the sacred feminine, and it's really beautiful. I'm just going to send some energy through before I finish here. And I'm just also sending energy into Mother Earth for this crazy energy that's around with the climate. And so I'm just sending energy to the Philippines and to Carolina and all these hurricane warnings that are going on, and I don't know how real they are, but I'm just really sending energy to the source of these powerful shifts through the earth that is also shifting our consciousness, of course, at the same time. So I'm just sending a blessing there, and sending everyone that's listening lots of love, and I'm wishing you a beautiful day or a beautiful evening. It's actually starting to dim in the light here. It's 5:15 in the evening. It's I don't know what to say. Between time shifts and there's no sense of anything much at the moment that I can describe with time or this kind of state of feeling that we're between worlds, in the dream state, wondering what is actually happening there. There doesn't seem to be much happening with me at the present time. It's extremely quiet here. So I'm processing lots. And if you feel drawn to connect with me, to work with me, then just send me a message. And you can find me on Facebook as well, Solida Maria. And I'll speak to you soon. Namaste.